The second aspect that we were going to discuss today is now moving forward. We were very pleased to report a significant growth rate for the organization for that first fiscal year. And now in fiscal year 09, it's our job to continue to make sure you all see that as a continuation and not just a short-term blip. That we really were investing in the long term and not just a quarter-to-quarter growth initiative. And we were also pleased to report just a month ago our performance for the first quarter of fiscal year 09, where we were able to continue the growth rate associated with last year, and then our revenue continued to grow at a rate of about 25% and our gross profit of 40%. And a very significant part of that is associated with these three initiatives. The first being operational excellence, the second being the management team, and finally the area of market development. And I think one of the things that is really demonstrative of who we are as a company, from an analogy standpoint, is probably that of the Minnesota Twins. And my son is a very, very strong advocate of the Twins. He's 10. There's his destiny, he tells me, is to be an MLB baseball player. And so, he thinks there's nothing better than the Minnesota Twins. He had to watch it last night or listen to it on the radio. But I think we're very much like them, in that this is an organization that operates on a budget in a small market, but compete anytime with the big boys. And that's really who we are as a company. We're a small organization, we live on a budget, but you put us up against the big boys and we can win anytime. And we'll be happy to be able to prove that in the months and quarters ahead. From an operational excellence standpoint, there are more than 150 independent telephone and cable TV companies across the country who have now standardized on our product line. And they've done so as a result of our ability to provide a quality product at an aggressive price point, providing the level of customer service necessary to both win and retain their business. A few more of those slides. A very dear friend of mine for Christmas gave me a book about wisdom for young CEOs. And in that there was a quote from a Ron Haley, who was the president and CEO of Wesco International at the time. And he said that you learn what you ought to be done, when it should be done, whether you like it or not. And I think that's really demonstrative of what we've done in the last 6 months, is we've made some difficult decisions about how to source products, where to source products, what to do internally versus what to do in external areas. And we've been able to keep really all the core processes and core strengths that we have as an organization within our control, whether they're here at Nathan Lane or whether they're at a sub-assembly manufacturing plant. If we chose to work with a sub-assembly group, we've invested in supplier qualifications and supplier, what we call report cards, to ensure that our suppliers have the tools they need to be successful. If we've done that internally, we are choosing to produce product here, we've made the investment necessary to do that well. We've spent money on laser cleavers so that our termination process can be done in a way where first pass yield is as high as it can be, where scrap is minimized. I have a bit of a reputation as being a miser and a tightwad. And so all of our engineers and our salespeople have come to an orientation of knowing what RUI means and how quickly we can make a return on that investment and how many quarters, not how many years it's going to take for us to recover that investment. And that's really a big part about who we are and about the culture that's represented. We talk a lot about, in reference to empathy, thinking about what does it take for our supplier or our customer to be effective in delivering that on a day-to-day basis. A core orientation of who we also are as an organization this year is making sure we have the right people in the right places. In that same book that I was telling you about before, the wisdom for wise CEOs, Charles Lee, who was the chairman and president of GTE at the time, said that the best CEOs build the team to achieve the dream. And I have a management team as well as an employee community who are very suited to be able to make sure that that dream comes in place. And I wanted my management team to get suited in their tools of the trade, so if they would go do that now, I've finished talking about them. We're in I'm introducing each of them as they go get their new costumes. Johnny Hill is our Chief Operating Officer. Johnny started with us as a salesperson, selling in the cable TV marketplace. He was later promoted to head of sales. later promoted to head of engineering, later reported to be promoted to the position of chief operating officer. And what this does is it makes sure that our engineering and our operations environment is the most market-driven organization in the country, because we look at it from a very customer-centric orientation. Bruce joined us when we separated our legacy operations and became full-time permanent a few months ago, and Bruce really brings us a perspective from a financial orientation outside of technology, which really keeps our technology people honest. And finally, I had the opportunity last year with the resignation of our Vice President of Sales to manage the sales organization for about a 6-month period. And during that 6-month period, I found that we had a lot of things going right in our sales team, but we had an opportunity to do some additional things. I needed a skill set to not change what we had done before, but to really bring us into new markets. And I worked with Bob Foreman 20 years ago. Bob has a very strong background in international sales and private label opportunities, so we look forward to new things associated with this new group. In addition, there's 2 additional members of my direct reports in the room, and that is Kathy Lloyd, who's our HR manager, and Chris, who I didn't present up here, who's our controller, who's going to be coming forward now. So this is my management team, who's really not happy with me right now. The third orientation, as you can see, part of the job to me and my management team is they're also my bodyguards. But part of what we want to do and have done over the course of the last 6 months is that of market development. And the economy is not helping us, not helping any of you. But times are tough, but so are we. And so we've initiated a marketing campaign to really go out there and make sure the world knows that we're going to earn their business. And this is part of our marketing booth that we'll be showing this week at the MTA show, the Minnesota Telephone Show, promoting our tough guys. Brian Larson is our quality assurance manager. He's a goalie and a hockey coach, and we sent this out as an email campaign. We're following that up with an additional one from one of our members of purchasing staff, who's a firefighter. The one that went out this week is one of our continuation engineers, who's an ultimate fighter. And so we are tough, and we'll be able to make sure that we use this type of orientation to make sure that we can deal with today's economy. So I appreciate you guys being willing to show the new gear.